All right, what's going on, everyone? This is gonna be trade recap for Tuesday morning. Um, so this morning I did take a loss again. This was a pretty unlucky loss, but the reason I'm not mad is because the day went exactly as I thought it would. My bias played out perfectly. So I came into the day, starting the daily. I came into the day with a bearish bias. The reason for that is because on the 4 hour we had this unbalanced fair value gap that I knew market wanted to come down to, draw down to before excuse me before it rallied any higher. So do my top down analysis on the 4 hour. Go to the 1 hour, same thing. Prominent fair value gap, right? Unbalanced zone. And then we go down the 50-minute and turn on the London sessions. Actually, London sessions don't matter. No. All right, so let me cut it right here. All right, so as you can see on the 5-minute, we have basically triple equal highs right here. Relative equal highs. Now, when there's three of them at a certain point, this is a very like prominent point of liquidity and like kind of like a magnet that market will go to, right? Because it is pretty close by, right? These liquidity points are from yesterday at 4:30, right? They're not days old. Um, and market hadn't swept them. So coming to the session, I knew that market before coming down wanted to sweep this liquidity and then was going to rally down to that fair value gap that I mentioned before. So coming to the day, that was my bias. As you can see here, this is where I entered my long setup. Now, why did I enter here? Well, got on my computer at around like 7:30, and I was just waiting to see a setup up to these points. I'm in the 1 minute, nothing here, and then I see this fast move down, big candle, right? Big wick that sweep this sell side liquidity. And normally a move like this, where the wick rejects so quickly and then turns into bullish momentum, is usually a good sign for bullish movement to the upside. And luckily, we had a good IFBG here. So I enter as soon as it breaks, which is right here. But as you can see, and I had my break even above this internal high. But as you can see, market decided to come down into this fair value gap, fill more orders, and then that's when I decided to rally up. And as you can see, sweep these the equal highs. Reason I got stopped out here was because I had my stop set lower. I had my stop set here, but I closed out because I saw this candle close below the fair value gap, right? I wasn't going to close my trade if because I knew that it may want to use this fair value gap to go further up. But it closed below it. I exited my trade, and the moment I exit, it reverses and it does what I thought it was going to do, which is go up and sweep these highs. So even though I lost this trade, I didn't really go full sizing on it anyways. I only lost $118 on this trade. But I'm not mad because my bias was correct, right? This played out exactly how I thought it would. And then as you can see, after it sweeps these equal highs, what does it do? Uses all that liquidity to then push further down into that unbalanced fair value gap below. So as you can see, big push down into the fair value gap. Now, there was news at 10 a.m., red folder, and normally after 9:30, when I take one trade before 9:30, I wait until after 9:30 to take another trade. But if there's news at 10 a.m., then I wait after news to take another trade. Now, after 10 a.m., market was pretty choppy. No setup here, no setup here. A setup did present itself right here, but I wasn't on my screen, and I wasn't able to take this trade. But this is a trade that I would have taken, um, and it would have been a win. The reason why I would take this trade is because, as you can see, after we came down, tapped this fair value gap, I knew that we wanted to push higher. So after I saw this push up from the fair value gap, my bias went from being bearish to bullish. So in hindsight, it's easy to say, but if I was on my charts waiting for a trade, I would have waited for this to come down, which it did, and then formed a really nice setup here. And it would have looked something like this, where I had my stops right here, and this would have been a very good trade because, as you can see to the left, we're rejecting off a fair value gap perfectly, swept sell side, and delivered off with big momentum, right, with big candles, and broke this fair value gap. And profit target would have been something like this. So this would have been a great trade to take um, for the day. So I didn't miss out on it, but this just shows you that IFVGs do work, that my strategy does work. In the other one, sadly, I got stopped out by a tick and then ended up going my way, but it doesn't matter. As long, like, if I'm being honest, knowing how to read the market is the most important thing. You could trade using any strategy. You could trade using fair value gaps, inverse fair value gaps, order blocks. The moment you learn to read the market, to learn what it wants to do, to learn um, points of interest, like points of liquidity, like where it wants to draw to, like the real momentum behind it. Once you learn to identify um, a market shift, once you learn what good momentum is, like what good price action versus bad price action is, that's when you're gonna start making money. So even though I lost on today, it doesn't really matter because my read on the market was perfect. I knew that it wanted to come up, sweep this, it did. After that, came down, touched this unbalanced fair value gap, which it did, and then rallied up again. Um, so overall, good day, followed my rules. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much going to be it for today's trade recap. I am 0-2 in the week, but it's fine as long as you follow your rules. Um, that's all that matters, right? Consistency is what matters. You're going to have a couple losing trades in your journey, but you're going to have more winning trades than losing if you follow your strategy and your rules to the dot. So that's going to be it for today's trade recap. Hopefully you enjoyed, learned something, and catch you in tomorrow's trade recap.